Hello guys, welcome back to another paint with me video. I haven't posted in weeks because I've had some things going on. This time I'm painting a misty forest scene. I feel like this one is really simple because it doesn't require many colors. Also, as always, feel free to change the colors however you like. Go with whatever suits your style. It doesn't have to be identical to mine. I haven't painted this one before and this piece is titled Like Old Leather. Also, the print for this isn't available yet. Hopefully it'll be available soon, but I'm a bit lazy. Well, I'm not lazy, I just have other things I prioritize. So maybe it's gonna come out long after this video is posted because I'm not making any print for now. So we're starting with painting the sky using white paint with a little mixture of green and black. Just a little. We still want the sky to look a bit lighter than the rest of the painting. Now I'm mixing olive green with a bit of white and black. This is for the background trees, the ones that are farther away. We don't want the color to be too intense because they're in the background, so it should look more muted. The green I use is olive green, but to get a similar shade, you can mix regular green with a bit of red. Now I'm using black and mixing it with olive green. This is for the tree trunks of the farther trees. You want them to be just visible enough so people can tell they're there, but still subtle. I'm also using that same mixture to create some of the slightly closer trees, also with their leaves and branches. But we're not at the closest trees yet. There are still another layer after this. As you can see, we're barely using many colors at all. Now I'm mixing black with red ochre. I'm going to use this for the closer trees, closer than the last ones, but I still don't want the color to be too intense. So I'm adding a little bit of white to soften it. Now we're going to paint the closest tree. This is the ones right in front. I'm mixing black and red ochre for the tree trunks. Usually when I'm not in the mood to paint, I just go with a forest theme. It might look a little complicated when you see the final piece, but honestly, it's quite easy to paint. You just start with the background trees, and then as you move forward, you gradually add more colors so it looks more intense. For the closest trees, you can go as bold as you want. Maybe the hardest part is painting the land area, because I feel like that part needs more intuition. Now I'm mixing olive green with lemon yellow, a little bit of white, and I'm toning it down with a bit of black. This is when we paint the ground area. This is where you need some intuition, but honestly, you'll paint more intuitively the more you practice. If you're still not familiar with it, no worries, just look at a reference or a tutorial. Honestly, I wouldn't call my video a tutorial. I call it paint with me, with a purpose. There's a reason behind it, because most of the time, I'm figuring out what I'm doing too. So don't come for me thinking it's an actual tutorial. This is just how I paint my piece. And there are probably a lot of techniques I do wrong. I'm not an expert because I'm still figuring things out, honestly. When you paint the ground, the closer it is, the more vibrant the color should be. So maybe you'll want to use less black and white for the closer part. Now I'm painting the road using the same color I used earlier for the trees, but mixing it with white. I'm just a bit lazy to mix new color. The color is more like grayish tone with a slight reddish tint. Then I try to create some rocks here using the darker mixture. Here I think I'm using the same color as I used for the closer trees. We're gradually going to add some details to the rocks. I'm recreating the same mixture I used for the trees because I ran out, and I'm using it to paint some branches. You don't have to be super detailed with this painting since we're not aiming for realism. Like, my painting style is not realistic, so just go with whatever feels comfortable. You can add branches here and there, it's totally up to you. Now I'm adding some shadows to the rocks. And here I'm mixing green with black. As we add shadows and details to the ground, this is where intuition really comes in, you guys. This isn't something I can exactly explain. I just kinda wing it and put shadows wherever it feels right. Again, there's no structure here, but I do try to make sure that whenever I paint something, I usually throw in a darker color underneath to act like the shadow. I'm adding a darker color here to show that the road sits a bit lower than the grass area, so it looks a bit sunken, you know? Also, the area that's closer to the grass is darker too because I added shadows there as well. This is where I feel like the painting starts to look a little more put together. It's not perfect yet. We're still gonna add more shadows. A painting might look weird or off at first, but once you add shadows, the shape starts to make sense and the whole thing looks more complete. You agree with me on that? I'm also adding some color variation to the trees, even though the scene is supposed to be cloudy and there's not much sunlight happening, but I'm still giving the trees a bit of extra color. It's super subtle, just enough to break up the colors a bit, but nothing too dramatic. And now I'm adding more shadows to the road. You can see the shadows are a lot darker now. This section might look messy at first and you might feel like you're not sure what you're doing, but honestly, just keep painting. Don't overthink it. For specific areas like patches of grass, it helps to add a subtle highlight there. Even though the scene doesn't really call for them, I'm mixing green with lemon yellow to lighten it slightly. Just enough to add some dimension and depth to the ground. Now we're adding some flowers. Like I mentioned earlier, when I reached this point, I always feel so excited because it's almost done. For the flowers, I'm using a bright white with no mixing. I know it's not exactly realistic for the scene to have flowers this bright, but I'm going for exaggeration here. If you want something more realistic, you could mix a little blue or green into the white to tone it down, but I love the dramatic contrast. So I'm sticking with the bright white for the flowers. And I'm adding a little detail in the center of the flowers. And that wraps up today's painting. I really had fun with this one, even though I wasn't really in the mood to paint at first. When I'm not in the mood, I always turn to painting forest because it's pretty simple to do. So here we are. The piece might look a bit on the somber side because of the limited color variation, but if you're not into that, you can always add more colors to the flowers. For me, it looks fine just the way it is. There are times when I'm not in the mood to mix a ton of colors on my palette, it just feels too much. That's why scenes like this one are perfect when I'm feeling burnt out or overwhelmed. I really hope you like it. If you're interested in prints, unfortunately this one isn't available yet as I post this video, but you can check out some other prints I have in the link in my description. Thanks for watching and I'll hopefully see you again soon.